Hey there. This video is created as your friendly weekly nudge to keep you taking action, empowering people around you as you elevate your skill. I'm going to go back in time for this particular nudge. I'm going to take you back to 1990. I was still really focused on elevating my skills back then. We had invited we had a international speaker coming to Crawfordsville, Indiana. Her name was Carol Sasaki. She had once been on public assistance, and she had then subsequently become totally self-sufficient. And she had gotten not just a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree. And she was traveling around the country at that time, helping other people to become self-sufficient too, by sharing her inspiring story and motivating and mobilizing people to take action, both clients and community volunteers, mobilizing people to take action. I wanted this event to be really successful. It was one of the first major events that we had planned. There were all kinds of community volunteers coming, and it was up to me to recruit clients to come too. Because at the time, we did not have any way for someone who was a volunteer to be able to reach out and connect with a client, because client names were confidential and so were their phone numbers too. I then hit the phone and started making phone calls. My goal was to break 200 people registered to attend. Because it was not easy persuading people to come to a workshop, when most of them had never been to a workshop before, I got a lot of no's. I was utilizing a list of names and phone numbers, and I was just calling people left and right. Then, when people said yes, I would pull their case file to find out a little bit more about the client. One of the people that said yes, her name happened to be Vivian, and she was one of the people that had asked for a ride. It was really important that I look at her file to find out what her needs were, to find out whether it would be appropriate for me to have a community volunteer to transport her to and from the workshop, whether I needed to do it personally myself. When I pulled Vivian's file, I was shocked to discover that she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. She had difficulty distinguishing fact from reality. She had hallucinations and would often confuse her hallucinations for reality. When I read her case file, I knew that there was no volunteer that could possibly pick her up. It would have been too much of a risk for a volunteer to transport her. So I picked her up myself. She behaved very well on the way to the training, and then she did well throughout the day. At the end of the day, I was transporting her home, and she suddenly, out of the blue, popped a question. She asked me if I was a Christian. At the time, I worked for the state of Indiana, and it was important to maintain a separation between our working for the state and our faith. I typically wore my faith as my underwear. I knew what I had on, and I never disclosed to clients or even to staff that I was involved in the work that I did because of my faith. When Vivian asked the question, my mind was racing. How do I respond? Do I tell her the truth, or do I say something else out of fear for what she might do, how she might distort the truth? In a few moments' time, I decided to answer her honestly. I told her that I was a Christian. She told me that she believed I'd been sent by God that day to take her to this workshop. Then she started working after having been a recluse for many, many years, dependent upon disability for her income. She began working part-time, working through a special program through Social Security. And I am sure she stayed on her medications too. Yet she kept this job for a number of years, for as long as I was working in that community until I left. And I believe that God had something to do with me reaching out to Vivian and Vivian attending the workshop and then Vivian going to work. And that is what happened to me. One of the early indications that God was involved in the work that we are doing to empower people to become self-sufficient. I'll be back soon with another tip next week. In the meantime, keep taking action, empowering people, utilizing their response to further elevate your skill. You're in a 6-month journey, and you will benefit so much more, and your clients and those whom you serve will benefit so much more too as a result of you taking action. Thanks so much.